He is the head of product and business at Alexa Amazon in London.
I picked mechanical engineering because I wanted to build cars. It so happened that when I actually started taking those courses, I hated them.
He's a pass out from the University of Michigan College of Engineering and Columbia Business School.
I think that there is a strong and deep bench strength of Indian leaders that can make an impact on the world.
NewsX proudly presents the VaKu Diaspora dialogue with Naik. Hello and welcome. You're watching NewsX VaKu. My name is Megha Sharma. Joining me on the broadcast is Naik. Now, he is living in London. He's a lead product manager for Alex Connecticut. He has passed out from the University of Michigan College of Engineering and went on to do his MBA from Columbia Business School. It's good to have you, Ninad, with such diverse background and gone ahead and traveled all the way from India in Gujarat to London at this point of time. How have things worked out for you?
Life's been good. It's been a pretty diverse experience, a bit of a meandering journey. Lived about 18 years now outside of India, across Brazil, the US, and the UK. Excited to speak with you today. Thanks for having me.
So how have your experiences been different vis-a-vis living in India and then Brazil, and you talk about United States and finally in London?
Mm-hmm. It's been a pretty interesting set of experiences. For the most part, not quite unnerving because, the thing that stands out about India is the fact that, we are a democracy and culturally very similar to both the UK and the US. Brazil was very challenging because it's a different language. I didn't have a lot of time to, learn Portuguese, but I still studied at the American School of Sao Paulo. And so life wasn't very difficult. It has been pretty interesting in terms of, being able to assimilate different cultural aspects. One experience that always stands out to me is, in India, we're born and brought up in an atmosphere of very high competition. Brazil is the 180-degree opposite of that, where things are very laid back. People are a lot more calm, a lot more accepting of challenges in life. And so it's led me to, have a set of experiences and a set of character traits that I think bring the best of both worlds together.
Interesting. And amongst all the countries that you have lived in, including India, which one would you prefer the most?
It depends on what aspect of life, right? From a cultural, societal, and familial aspect, obviously India. From a professional aspect, I think the West still is a little bit better for folks like me who work in technology. We're able to just get more work done, just high leverage work in the West. That's changing now. Post-COVID, I think we're seeing more decentralization, more remote work. But today, where I stand, I think, from a professional aspect, it's still the West.
Okay, talk to me about your profession, your career at this point of time. Was it a conscious decision to go ahead and decide and do an MBA from Columbia Business School, go ahead and study engineering from the University of Michigan, obviously the topmost colleges, and that's important as well. But a conscious shift, notwithstanding, to move from India and then travel to all these places. How have these experiences built you?
Absolutely. I describe my life as a series of experiments. And really, at any given point of time, you're taking the decision that seems right at that moment, right? And life never really works out the way you plan it to be. When I was in high school growing up, I was a big fan of cars. I was a big fan of racing, huge Michael Schumacher fan. And so when time came to enroll in college, I picked mechanical engineering because I wanted to build cars. It so happened that when I actually started taking those courses, I hated them. And most of my friends were in the business school. So leaving college, I ended up in management consulting and got to learn a whole number of things about a host of industries, everything from nuclear, solar, telecom, tech, and what have you. It was very, very interesting and very educational, but what it was not was fulfilling. And so that was my first career pivot, where I decided that, from a longer term perspective, as I reflect upon what I want to do 20, 30 years out, the thing I really care about is building. And that for me means being on the frontier, being in technology. And so I began that pivot doing my MBA first at Columbia and then joining Amazon. More recently, I've taken a couple of pivots as well, experimenting with different domains within Alexa. I've done Alexa AI, working in the Internet of Things space right now. And I expect that life will continue to be a series of experiments going forward as well.
Okay, what are those, strong pillars? Because when I've gone ahead and studied how this entire networking build up that is the reason and the cause for going ahead and holding those sort of decisions that come out from the current dispensation, be the Biden administration or the Trump administration. And I'm assuming something similar happens when it comes to the dispensation that functions in London as well. Is the backbones of it are the IITs, the doctors' diaspora, I'm talking about RP, and then there is the pop culture or the soft power that India has, and then also academics and think tanks. How can we go ahead and further leverage these pillars to ensure for a collaborative effort for putting the perspective, the views, the ethos of India and Indians on a larger scale to the global arena?
Absolutely, right. I would think of that as twofold. There's the politics and the preaching, which is sort of like the overt and the covert way of doing this, right? On the political front, I think we do a much better job of this in the UK, and not so great in the US, which is how do we, Indians are generally one of the wealthiest minorities in whichever nation we're in. How do we lean into that wealth and that power more? How do we, identify, groom, and help elect politicians who are more sympathetic or more aligned with, what India stands for? That's on the more overt side of things. And the more, not want to say covert, but not very overt side of things is how do we use our soft power to actually, make the general population aware of what India stands for, which is very highly aligned with what the West stands for. Now is a very critical time because you're seeing, a realignment of geopolitics. You're seeing, China has been, positioning itself as taking away more share of the pie. What we should be doing is saying, hey guys, we're here to help you actually grow the pie so we can all get wealthy together, right? Let us build the technological backbone for the future that you want. And so we have a unique opportunity right now. We have enough people in positions of influence that this diaspora should be, trying to market India in a more positive light.
Absolutely. I think you have some interesting points over there. And that's exactly what the motto of NewsX VaKu is, to build one big family of the Indian diaspora and spread the right message about India, the Indian community, and what we exactly stand for, because there's a lot of misinformation, disinformation that also gets spread, unfortunately, because of the kind of contrasting lobbies that are at play from our enemy states, from countries that do not think in alignment with India or India's interests. But thank you so much, Ninad, for joining us on this very special broadcast. Here's hoping to having you on our broadcast more often.
Absolutely. Thank you. Take care.
NewsX ITV network have proudly launched the VaKu Diaspora Broadcasting Network. VaKu DBN will be India's first mainstream platform dedicated to the diaspora community. Help support us. Become VaKu patrons at memboro.com/VaKu. You will get the first access to our interviews, make recommendations, merchandise access, ask questions, and get a shout out of thanks on our TV shows. You can also suggest to us who should get the VaKu Golden Chakra Awards, and also tell us who should get into the VaKu Hall of Fame. Limited memberships are available at 100 rupees per month on Memboro VaKu. Sign up now. Log on to memboro.com/VaKu.